Tonight on NewsWatch, the fight for Libya. Muammar Gaddafi uses airstrikes on his own people as he tries to regain control of the oil fields.
Plus, turmoil in the Middle East means more struggles for Americans. Gas reaches well over $4 a gallon in some places.
And resurrecting an image. Presidential candidates may use the name of Ronald Reagan, but can they live up to his standard? All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. President Obama says it's time for Muammar Gaddafi to step down. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Lori Johnson. They are his harshest words yet for the Libyan dictator, saying he needs to end his 40-year reign and leave power. This as intense fighting continues to ravage parts of the North African nation. George Thomas is in the newsroom with the latest. George.
That's right, Lori. The president's remarks were crystal clear, saying, quote, Gaddafi has lost the legitimacy to lead and must leave. But this is the least of Mr. Gaddafi's problems. Tonight, Libyan fighter jets are pounding key oil-producing towns in the east of the country.
Muammar Gaddafi, some of his sons, and members of the dictator's inner circle are facing a new challenge tonight.
We'd like to use this opportunity to put them on notice.
The International Criminal Court is investigating the regime for possible crimes against humanity in the violent crackdown on anti-government protesters.
We have a mandate to do justice, and we will do it.
Libyan fighter jets continued to bomb the key eastern oil town of Brega Thursday. Rebel groups regained control of it after they repelled a ground and air attack by troops loyal to the regime 5,000 miles away in Washington, D.C., growing concern that Libya is sliding into a civil war as Gaddafi bombs his own people.
One of our biggest concerns is Libya descending into chaos and becoming a giant Somalia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pressure is on the Obama administration to stop the slaughter of Gaddafi's opponents. The U.S. insists all options are on the table, but the top man at the Defense Department says military options, such as enforcing a no-fly zone over Libya, would amount to an act of war.
Let's just call a spade a spade. A no-fly zone begins with an attack on Libya to destroy the air defenses. That's the way you do a no-fly zone.
At the White House Thursday, President Obama was clear on where he stood regarding the Libyan crisis.
We will continue to send a clear message. The violence must stop. Muammar Gaddafi has lost legitimacy to lead, and he must leave. Those who perpetrate violence against the Libyan people will be held accountable.
Meanwhile, the exodus out of Libya continues. The United Nations estimates more than 180,000 people have fled into neighboring Tunisia and Egypt. The UN is urging foreign governments to step in and help with evacuations and humanitarian supplies.
And Lori, the United States is doing just that. They are responding. President Obama tonight has ordered the U.S. military to assist in the evacuation of Libyan refugees from the border areas of Tunisia and Egypt.
Yes, George, and it's shocking, but based on today's events, it appears Gaddafi is clearly willing to kill his own people in order to stay in power, right?
That's right. And the president, I think the takeaway from today, the president's speech today, was in essence saying to Muammar Gaddafi, look, those who perpetrate violence against innocent victims, in fact, he said, we are going to be monitoring them. Unlike in, say, Tunisia and Egypt, where the military took a very behind-the-scenes role, did not attack its civilians, did not launch any attacks against innocent people. This is very a different case in Libya. And in essence, the president said the following in his speech. The event that they are making calculations, in reference here to the Libyan government, the event that they're making calculations in their own minds about which way history is moving, the Libyan government, should know history is moving against Colonel Gaddafi. In essence, the U.S. government is saying, listen, you cannot continue to bomb your civilians. We will be monitoring this.
George Thomas in our newsroom. Thanks.
You're welcome.
The fighting and uncertainty are affecting Americans' bottom line. Gas prices are hitting $4 and even $5 a gallon in some parts of the country. And with the busy driving season ahead, it's not likely to get any better. Jennifer Wishon has the story from Washington.
This week, the price of a barrel of oil topped $102. That's the highest level since the fall of 2008. The average price for a gallon of regular gasoline is now $3.42. That's up 32 cents from last month and 72 cents from last year.
Unrest in Libya has caused an increase in oil prices. It hits right to the consumer wallet and has a direct and immediate impact on confidence.
In states like California, where gas prices are highest, more people are using public transportation.
Our ridership now is up 4.6% over a year ago.
But not everyone can avoid paying more at the pump.
It's too expensive, or almost $5. That's a lot of money, especially when you don't have a job.
And the extra expense is adding up.
At least $100 a week.
I still have to get where I'm going, so I can't really do anything about the gas prices. But yeah, my bank account sees a difference. My credit card statement sees a difference.
The price of gas isn't the only thing going up. A United Nations food agency reports global food prices hit new highs last month, and the rising price of oil could send food prices even higher. Some businesses are already feeling it.
Our costs went up 40% in the last 2 weeks. Wow. Imagine, from produce to meat to everything. Everything has gone up.
And as the economy slowly improves, there are indications that businesses will start passing their cost increases onto their customers, even though many Americans are still struggling.
I do notice that there are a lot of small tips. A lot of people are I don't know how you say it, economically challenged, as you would say.
And the challenges will likely continue as long as turmoil persists in the world's oil-rich nations. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
The instability in the Middle East could become a major issue in the 2012 race for the White House. And as John Jessup reports, that's especially true if the unrest spreads to other countries considered key allies.
When it comes to presidential elections, foreign policy rarely tops the list of voter priorities. But this upcoming election may be different. Imagine, if you will, paying not just $4 or $5 per gallon of gas, but $10 or even $20. Right now, Saudi Arabia has increased its oil production to compensate for the lack of production in Libya. But if instability develops there the same way it has in other places, and the Saudis go offline, you could see that nightmare scenario become a reality. Then it becomes a major pocketbook issue for Americans. And that means the candidates running for the White House must not only talk about foreign policy, it will also refocus attention on energy policy, looking at the development of alternative and renewable energy, building new nuclear power plants, and whether to speed up the process for offshore drilling and oil exploration. As it relates to global leadership, you'll hear some Republicans attack President Obama for seemingly staying on the sidelines as compared to former President Ronald Reagan, who challenged the Soviet Union to tear down the Berlin Wall. Plus, former UN Ambassador John Bolton is considering a run in the Republican primary. He is a big Obama critic when it comes to foreign policy, and he's hoping that his candidacy will force others who are running to address foreign issues. John Jessup, CBN News, reporting in Washington.
The American Bar Association is planning to fight efforts to block Sharia law. Anti-Sharia legislation is being considered in 14 states. The American Thinker reports the ABA has created a task force to fight those measures. They also plan to create talking points for activists who are opposing those bills.
Jordan Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice is not surprised the ABA is taking a stand for Sharia law. He says it tends to take a progressive stance when it comes to redefining what law means in America.
It's this idea that somehow Sharia law and the Constitution are compliant, and you see this coming out of people like Imam Faisal Rauf. Our U.S. State Department pays for him to tour the world, and he's been speaking even regularly. I saw an interview he did with the Washington Post yesterday here in D.C., where he said to him, and he's supposed to be a great moderate, the Constitution and Sharia law, they're basically the same, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, except for the fact, of course, he doesn't point out, if you happen to be a woman, a religious minority, if you happen to take a different view of Islam than the leaders of your country, and the fact that Sharia law is not codified, so it can mean whatever Islamic leaders want it to mean to serve their own political interest.
To hear more from Jordan and see how Sharia law is already taking hold in the U.S., go to our website, cbnnews.com.
A bill aimed at permanently preventing taxpayer-funded abortions is heading to the House floor.
taxpayer dollars to fund the killing of innocent unborn children does not liberate their mothers. It is not why those lying out under the white stones in Arlington National Cemetery died, and it is not good government.
Today, the House Judiciary Committee debated amendments to the bill and took out some controversial language about rape. Some pro-choice lawmakers were upset, saying the bill would make coverage for abortions completely unavailable. Republicans argue it would just make permanent an amendment that the Congress votes on every year. Ultrasound images are being used in hearings over a proposed abortion law in Ohio. Two expectant mothers on opposite sides of the abortion debate displayed ultrasounds of their babies in the Ohio legislature. The heartbeat bill would ban abortion once a doctor detects a heartbeat in the fetus. Janet Folger Porter of Faith to Action said her display shows just exactly who is affected by the bill, while Kelly Copeland of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio says using ultrasound images is a political trick.
I think it was a stunt. I think the idea that all of us haven't seen ultrasound images, that pro-choice people have never given birth and never been parents is a little ridiculous.
No second thoughts at all. Definitely, if a beating heart, that's my kid, can help change something, I'm all for it.
No vote is scheduled on that bill.
Coming up, saved from the fire, a woman credits a mysterious stranger and her faith in God for sparing her life.
Attention investors, now is the time to protect your retirement accounts and investments. Excessive government spending is devaluing the US dollar and high rates of inflation are coming. Gold has tripled since 2001, and some experts predict the prices will climb another 100%. Buy gold now, direct and wholesale with United Gold Group. The demand for gold around the world is higher than ever. Foreign countries like China and India are buying up gold at record rates. Why? What do they know that you don't?
Call now and get your Gold Investors Kit absolutely free. Call in the next 5 minutes and receive The Secret to Owning Gold in Your Retirement Account, also absolutely free. Just call 1-800-758-5070. That's 1-800-758-5070.
This could be the most important call you make this year. United Gold Group, investing in America's future. Attention investors, now is the time to protect your retirement accounts and investments. Excessive government spending is devaluing the US dollar and high rates of inflation are coming. Gold has tripled since 2001, and some experts predict the prices will climb another 100%. Buy gold now, direct and wholesale with United Gold Group. The demand for gold around the world is higher than ever. Foreign countries like China and India are buying up gold at record rates. Why? What do they know that you don't?
Call now and get your Gold Investors Kit absolutely free. Call in the next 5 minutes and receive The Secret to Owning Gold in Your Retirement Account, also absolutely free. Just call 1-800-758-5070. That's 1-800-758-5070.
This could be the most important call you make this year. United Gold Group, investing in America's future.
Welcome back. Stocks jumped today after an unexpected drop in unemployment numbers. The Dow rose 201 points to close just above 12,268. Claims for unemployment benefits fell to 368,000 last week, and that is the lowest level since May 2008. Now, this came as a surprise. Many economists were predicting the unemployment numbers to rise.
The attack on a busload of U.S. airmen in Germany that left 2 people dead is being called an act of Islamic terrorism. Eyewitnesses say the terrorist shouted "Jihad, Jihad" as he went on a shooting rampage outside Germany's Frankfurt airport Wednesday. Officials say the suspect claims to have acted alone. He's confessed to targeting members of the American military. He's been identified as 21-year-old Arid Uka, a Muslim immigrant from Kosovo. Uka's relatives say they don't know how this could have happened. They admit he's a devout Muslim, but say the family has always been pro-American.
Hundreds of Pakistani Christians are protesting the killing of a Catholic government minister who was assassinated yesterday. Shahbaz Bhatti was the minister for religious minorities. He had urged Pakistan to reform its harsh blasphemy laws that impose the death penalty for insulting Islam. He was the second politician killed in 2 months over the issue.
An Afghan Christian who had been condemned to death is now free. Saeed Musa is out of Afghanistan and living in another country. He had been in prison for close to 2 years for leaving Islam to follow Christ. That's a crime that carries the death penalty in Afghanistan. Another Afghan Christian is still in jail on similar charges. A California woman escapes a fiery car crash unharmed, along with her Bible.
She's crediting a mystery man and her faith for the miraculous rescue. Heather Sells has her story.
When Lori Wood left her home early in the morning recently, she was planning to visit her Marine son before he deployed to Afghanistan. But God had other plans.
I saw something in the road and I swerved to miss it, and it was black, and I thought it was tire tread.
Lori overcorrected and rolled over into a ditch, landing the car on its side. She was hanging by her seatbelt when she heard a voice.
He said, "You've got to get out of there now. You're on fire." And I said, "I don't know how to get out. I can't get out." And so I'm not sure what he did, but he ended up pulling me out.
Firefighter Matt Wittendale got the call, a pin-in with a vehicle on fire. When he arrived, the car was on fire, Lori was out, and the mystery rescuer was gone.
The driver's seat and around the driver's seat was pretty much melted. If she was in that seat while the fire was burning, she would have gotten burned pretty good.
Lori and her husband later got a good look at the burned-out car.
I had a canvas bag that had some books and, my camera and my all kinds of stuff, and it was all melted.
But her Bible was nearly untouched. Lori says she received it as a gift last fall at a Fresno church the first day she attended.
Nobody could ever tell me that Jesus was not sitting next to me that day in that car.
The Bible alone blew me away when I looked in there, and that's the only thing that hadn't got burned. Yeah. Awesome. And since we've been going to church, I've seen a lot of things, but that right there, and seeing her come out of that car.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, many conservatives consider Ronald Reagan one of the greatest presidents ever. Is there any in the crowd of 2012 contenders who can fill his shoes?
The doctor said to me, "Peggy, you don't understand. Pancreatic cancer is inoperable and incurable." And he says, "Well, Peggy, you've got 2 months to live." It was like he was telling me, go to the store. There was no compassion. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. My life was an hourglass. I was home, laying on the couch, just dying. My sister Pam called the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. When I got there, I knew that I was going to be cared for. I met with the doctor after the tests were done and said, "How long do I have?" And he looked at me and he said, "Peggy, we did a lot of tests on you, and I never saw one thing stamped on the bottom of your foot that said you were going to die in 2 months. You have no expiration date." And I thought, wow.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is unlike any other cancer hospital, full of hope, committed to your fight. We use every weapon: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, nutrition, spiritual support, and mind-body medicine. We surround you with a real team, working together, all under one roof.
Each time I went back to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, I responded better. My tumors were shrinking. Came back in September again, and they still couldn't see anything. I said, "You're kidding me." We'll see how it goes. We'll keep testing, but we can't see the tumors anymore.
Please call the number on your screen to speak with an oncology information specialist and receive a life-changing information kit and DVD packed with valuable information. Call now and learn about treatment options you may not even know exist.
It's really unbelievable how one doctor can tell me I have 2 months to live, and then I go to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and they saved my life. Hope is a mainstay. Hope is everything.
Don't give up. Your fight is our fight. Call Cancer Treatment Centers of America today.
Former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich is exploring a run for the White House. In Atlanta today, Gingrich announced he's set up a website to raise money and test the support for a presidential bid. He's stopping short of setting up an official exploratory committee, which would have legally made him a candidate. Gingrich said he believes he has the right values and right policies to make America great again. In a letter to supporters, he said a possible run for the White House would be an extraordinary adventure. Well, Gingrich is just one of the people expected to seek the Republican nomination. More are expected to announce in the coming months.
At some point, each one will likely use the name of Ronald Reagan. But will any one candidate fulfill that role? David Brody has the answers in tonight's Focus Report.
You can definitely tell when a Republican is running for president. It's all in the name dropping.
I began working with Ronald Reagan in 1974.
Ronald Reagan was something more than just a policy wonk. He was a man who loved this country, and he inspired this country to believe in itself again.
There's no question that the older I get, the smarter Ronald Reagan gets.
But will there ever be another Ronald Reagan? Some say Sarah Palin has a Reagan-esque quality.
Everybody wants to find the next Ronald Reagan. Where is he/she?
Yeah.
Is she around anywhere?
There is no one individual replacement for Ronald Reagan. He was so one of a kind, but there are so many Americans who believe in the great ideas that he believed in and that he espoused, and I thank God for that.
Many of the potential 2012 presidential contenders come up here to Ronald Reagan's ranch, and actually, it's sort of a pilgrimage of sorts. Sarah Palin was here just a few weeks ago. Newt Gingrich has been here, many others. Folks who know Ronald Reagan say when you come here, you really do get a glimpse into the window into his soul.
So what is it exactly that made Ronald Reagan unique?
One of my favorite quotations about age comes from Thomas Jefferson. He said that we should never judge a president by his age, only by his work. And ever since he told me that, I've stopped worrying. Just to show you how youthful I am, I intend to campaign in all 13 states.
Yes, he had the classic humor, and he was a great communicator. But he wasn't just playing a part. There was more to it.
The secret to Reagan was he was an actor who actually read a lot of books, went out and explained them on the General Electric speaking tour, gave hundreds of speeches, engaged in many policy discussions. He really was a substantive person by the time he entered politics.
Even Reagan's critics admit he was genuine, and he could mix being a nice guy and a strong leader.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Unlike other politicians, his word was his deed. It was one and the same. He said what he meant and he meant what he said, and that was so unlike any other politicians in America.
Talk about boldness. Imagine a president today giving a near gospel presentation from the Oval Office. Well, that's just what Reagan did during one of his Christmas messages in the early 80s.
Some celebrate Christmas as the birthday of a great and good philosopher and teacher. Others of us believe in the divinity of the child born in Bethlehem, that he was and is the promised Prince of Peace.
All of this brings us to today. While no presidential candidate stands out as the next Reagan, there are some comparisons to the Gipper in some respects. Palin fans say she has Reagan's principled demeanor. Supporters of Mike Huckabee point to his folksy disposition and use of humor. Mitt Romney can claim the matinee idol look. Others simply spout Reagan's public policy positions, but it will take more than looks, laughs, and rhetoric.
Lots of Republican politicians can hold the same policy positions, but why do we want one over the other? I think the reason they hearken back to Reagan is not only his heroic achievements, but his clear integrity, honesty, and strength of character. That's not something you can just say you have. You have to demonstrate it.
Even President Obama has tried to wear the Reagan mantle, but Fun says it's hard when your message doesn't resonate with the majority of Americans.
Well, look at Reagan's farewell address. He said, "They called me the great communicator." Reagan said, "I wasn't a great communicator. I communicated great ideas." Obama is a very good and competent speech maker, often inspirational, especially with a teleprompter. But what is he saying? It's not connecting with the American people. It's not in the American tradition.
But what is in the Republican politician tradition is paying homage whenever possible, especially if you want to lead the party.
Who is your favorite Republican president?
Ronald Reagan. Easy one.
Reagan.
Reagan, of course. Reagan.
While that answer may be obvious, searching for the next Ronald Reagan is not. David Brody, CBN News, Santa Barbara, California.
Up next, a new leash on life. An Oklahoma puppy proves he's a survivor after being euthanized and declared dead.
The doctor said to me, Peggy, you don't understand. Pancreatic cancer is inoperable and incurable. And he says, well, Peggy, you've got 2 months to live. It was like he was telling me, go to the store. There was no compassion. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. My life was an hourglass. I was home, laying on the couch, just dying. My sister Pam called the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. When I got there, I knew that I was going to be cared for. I met with the doctor after the tests were done and said, how long do I have? And he looked at me and he said, Peggy, we did a lot of tests on you, and I never saw one thing stamped on the bottom of your foot that said you were going to die in 2 months. You have no expiration date. I thought, wow.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is unlike any other cancer hospital, full of hope, committed to your fight. We use every weapon: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, nutrition, spiritual support, and mind-body medicine. We surround you with a real team, working together, all under one roof.
Each time I went back to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, I responded better. My tumors were shrinking. Came back in September again, and they still couldn't see anything. I said, you're kidding me. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep testing, but we can't see the tumors anymore.
Please call the number on your screen to speak with an oncology information specialist and receive a life-changing information kit and DVD packed with valuable information. Call now and learn about treatment options you may not even know exist.
It's really unbelievable how one doctor can tell me I have 2 months to live. And then I go to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and they saved my life. Hope is a mainstay. Hope is everything.
Don't give up. Your fight is our fight. Call Cancer Treatment Centers of America today.
He's being called a survivor.
And now hundreds of people want to adopt him. Meet Wally, an Oklahoma dog that many say came back from the dead. He was one of 5 stray dogs that animal control had to euthanize. Using a stethoscope, a vet pronounced each one dead. They were put in a disposal bin used for animals, but the next day a man opened the bin to find Wally alive and well.
Each one was pronounced dead with the stethoscope.
The vet listened to his heart. His heart's fine.
He was as healthy as can be.
He needs a really special home because he's a really special pup.
Might say that he's an angel dog.
The 3-month-old puppy was named Wally after the movie character, who was the only one left of his kind. The clinic says they've already received calls from people hundreds of miles away wanting to adopt the brave pup.
And who can blame him? Wow, to survive euthanasia.
Yes, that's right.
It's quite the feat.
Right, and it does remind our viewers to get your pets spayed and neuters to keep that pet population down.
That's right. I'll call you Bob Barker.
Got to get that little plug in there. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of NewsWatch.
Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. Hope you'll join us next time.